Hey, welcome back to my channel and welcome to the second sample meal plan of the Keto series. Today I want to focus on creativity and flavor. Now, for the previous episode, for the previous sample meal plan, I focused on, making sure that you get your fats up. Now, granted, yes, it's going to be the focus on all of the videos because you have to have your fats up with every single meal that you do, otherwise you're not doing keto. But for this one, I wanted to specifically focus more on being creative and using a little bit more like unconventional items so you can have like a tasty sample, so you can have a tasty meal plan for keto. So, the ratios are still going to fall within the 75%, 20%, 5% meaning, fats, proteins, and carbs. And I'm going to put a chart right here of the total for the day of how much the meal plan is going to include. So, again, the focus of today is going to be, just getting a little bit more creative, adding a little bit more flavor to your foods, and then while still keeping your fats up, because that focus never changes. Now, if you are wondering whether you can do more or you can do less, then I highly suggest that you go and check out my previous sample meal plan and episode 2, which is where I talk about how to set up a meal plan, and I'm going to leave the links in the description below. That way you can customize this based on your weight, and if you're female, if you're a guy, just if you can eat more, if you can eat less, that sort of thing. Because I went into detail more, a little more into detail in the last couple episodes, and I don't want to do that right now. I just want to go straight into the meal plan. So yeah, make sure that you check those out. And yeah, once again, let's get a little creative, and keep in mind the fats are still gonna stay very high. And if you have any questions, make sure that you leave a comment, and let's get right to it. So for the first meal, we're going to be doing a sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit. And this is a very easy and quick meal to make. It doesn't really take that long. The biscuit itself actually only takes 90 seconds to make in the microwave, about 30 seconds to prepare, and I'm going to be showing you how to do that. And everything else, we're going to be using, of course, egg, cheese, and then the reason I wanted to put the bacon and sausage here is because you could pretty much just play with that. You could either do like 2 ounces of sausage or 2 strips of bacon. For this one, I'm just going to show you the sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit. And to be honest with you, the reason why I'm doing this particular one is I am a huge fan of the McDonald's breakfast sandwiches. They are so good that they are so bad. They are so bad for you, but at the same time they taste so good. So in a sense, I'm trying to like mimic a McGriddle sandwich. So that's one of the reasons I have. So I'll go over the ingredients here in a second, but it's one of the reasons I have the swerve right here, the artificial sweetener, and I also have a little bit of sugar-free honey because I really want to imitate that flavor I really want to imitate the McGriddle taste. And yeah, for breakfast, not everything has to be just eggs and bacon or eggs and sausage by themselves. Granted, yes, this one does not have any vegetables, but we'll definitely be making up for it in the other meals. But this right here is going to be about 400 calories. And again, you want to keep your processed meats, pretty limited. You don't want to be doing them all throughout the day. So, for this one, I'm going to be doing, the sausage, but again, we could do the bacon. So, so for the ingredients, we have the keto-friendly flour, which, it could also be almond flour as well. And we're only going to be using 3 tablespoons of that. So for the size that we're looking for, we're going to be using 1 slice of cheese, Kraft singles, a little bit of baking powder. We need that. And baking powder does not have any carbs. So let me just zoom in on that so you guys can see. So there are no carbs on baking powder. It's just a little bit of extra sodium, but hey, on keto you do need that sodium. So we have baking powder. We're going to be using 2 eggs, but we're going to be using 1 yolk and then 1 whole egg. The 1 whole egg is going to be for the sandwich. The yolk is going to be for the mixture of the biscuit. And again, I'll show you how to do that here in a second. Very easy. We got our proteins, and then this is just personal preference. Again, I'm going for the McGriddle taste. I've done this many times, so this is like the closest I could come to the sugar-free honey. And then, of course, if you guys have been watching my other videos, I think by this point you would probably think that I'm like sponsored by the I Can't Believe It's Not Butter brand because I advocate it so much. But yeah, so I'm gonna use the I can't believe it's not butter for the mixture, because you do need butter in your mixture so it tastes really good. Alright, so the first thing that we want to do is you want to melt the 1 tablespoon of butter in the microwave in a little container. And if you guys think of like how big a breakfast sausage biscuit is, you want to do a container where you could kind of fit something in there, because the dough or the whole mixture is going to kind of rise up and kind of fit in there. So it doesn't have to be anything too big. So yeah, you want to melt the butter first, and then once we do that, pretty easy, pretty straightforward, we just start adding the ingredients. So we're gonna start out with the 3 tablespoons of the keto almond flour, or the keto friendly flour, but you can also use almond flour. And definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, this is the MVP of the whole meal, because without this we will not be able to have this very delicious breakfast. And yeah, no, not everything has to be, bacon and eggs, sausage and eggs. We can do things like this to mix it up. There's keto pancakes as well that we could do. So once we've added that, the 3 tablespoons of the keto-friendly flour, then we don't want to forget the baking powder. So I'm going to be using half a teaspoon on that. And hopefully you guys are, just seeing to that I'm measuring everything. It only takes you an extra 5 seconds. Not even that. Well, I mean, in total, probably to be measuring things, but it takes you an extra second just to measure things, because that helps you stay accountable. More importantly, it gives you an idea of like where you're at, if you need to make adjustments, and you can take away, you can add if you're losing too fast. So yeah, it's very important that you're measuring things. And if you guys can hear in the background, I do have the sausage just cooking for right now, because we want to be proactive and make sure that we're taking as less time as possible while making this, because I know with a lot of you guys, you have busy lifestyles. I get it. So you want to make sure that you get things done right away. So we're just being proactive at the moment. And I do want to rectify something I said earlier. We're using the yolk for the sandwich. For the mixture, we actually do need the whole egg. So we're going to be cracking the egg in here. So we got all the ingredients in here. Then once we do that, we want to get a spoon, and then from this point we just want to start mixing. Okay. Now, if you notice that it's a little too thin, we can add a little bit more flour. But I think this is going to be just fine. So once we do that, we keep mixing and mixing, and I am going to add a little bit of black pepper and salt, just so that it has more flavor. And for me, like I said, this is just completely optional for you. I'm going to be adding the swerve. Like I said, I'm really going for that McGriddle taste, keto McGriddle. There's a business idea for you. So keto McGriddle, just make it a little bit sweet. And then if you guys notice, I had the sugar-free honey, which I'm going to be putting at the very end. And again, it's completely optional. The swerve, if you don't want to have it sweet, you can completely omit that. And then we're just going to keep mixing this. I think I'm going to add the swerve now. I think that might help. And I'm only going to do half a tablespoon. I feel like 1 tablespoon might be a little too much. So, and then the swerve is erythritol. So if you guys are wondering what it is, it's an artificial sweetener, the one that I recommend the most, along with monk fruit, and allulose, which is another great artificial sweetener. So from this point on, we're just gonna mix. So it has that sweet. Look at that. And you kind of want to get like that doughy like texture. Yeah, and this is gonna rise up and just probably fill out about 3/4 of this little container. And this right here is probably a total of, I want to say, let's see, like 3 grams of net carb for this whole thing right here, and already about 15-16 grams of fat, thanks to the egg and the keto-friendly flour. So, and the butter. So yeah, so from this point on, I'm gonna go heat this up for 90 seconds, and I will see you guys when it's done. Alright guys, so 90 seconds later, we have our biscuit ready. And obviously you could tell, it didn't come out perfectly, but hey, if you're going for visual rather than taste, then this is definitely not the channel for you. But if you're going for taste, then yeah, it might not look so pretty all the time, but yeah. And then look at how easily it just comes out of the container. So we can actually just flip it, and then boom, we have it. And I still have the sausages finishing cooking.
because I want it a little extra crispy. Same thing with the bacon if I was doing bacon. So, and then from this point on, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna cut it in half. And oh my god, yeah, this is, people that say that they get bored with keto, they definitely have not seen my channel. So make sure that by the way, make sure that you subscribe, and if you know anybody that's doing keto and they would like keto tips, some ideas, make sure that they're doing it right, just send them over here. I would appreciate the referrals. But yeah, so we have our biscuit right here. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my sausage and my egg. Oh my god, yeah, this is like too much. So then we have our little 2 ounces of sausage right here. We have our egg yolk omelet, and that's just 1 egg yolk, by the way. And if you want to do more egg, you can, like an extra egg yolk, you could totally get away with that. It's only an additional 45 calories with an additional 5 grams of fat, so we could do that. And then boom, we have the cheese right there. And then from this point on, we just let it melt a little bit. So we just let it sit like that. I don't know which looks prettier like that. I think this way. Yeah, we gotta get the right angle for a good thumbnail. So, for a good clickbait thumbnail. So, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna draw an M right here. I'm just kidding. No, we're not gonna do that. But we are gonna put a little bit of honey, sugar-free honey, mind you. So make sure that or even a sugar-free syrup, by the way. But I think that that honey is better, and I've actually had this honey for like 3 years, so sad day. Oh no. I've won McGriddle like once a week, and I didn't notice that I was running out, but you get the idea. So it's still gonna be very sweet because of the swerve / the erythritol. So hey, like I said, it's gonna have that similar taste. So if you're somebody doing keto, which is why you're watching this channel, I assume. So this is a good way to get like that sweet, that sweet craving out of the way without breaking your diet. There we go. We got a good one right here. Oh god, yeah, perfect. So there we go. That should be good enough. So make sure to put that in the to buy grocery list. So boom, there we go. So there is our breakfast meal 1 McGriddle sandwich. One quick note that I want to just leave you guys off with is, if you want to do the biscuit every day, there really is nothing wrong with doing it every single day. But what I would recommend is, if you're going to be doing it, let's say every day, you're going to be doing it very often, try to pair it up with a more healthy fat source. Like for example, you could have biscuits with like avocado, and you can still you can toast this and make it a little bit crispier if you want, or just do the whole egg. But try not to be doing like sausage and bacon every single day, because again, those are more of the processed fats, and we don't want to be doing those every single day. You want to make sure that you're sticking to a particular hierarchy of fats. And if you watch my very first or my second episode of the Keto series, I go over the hierarchy of which fats are more just more important on keto. So like avocados, egg yolks, oils, that sort of thing, butter. So even doing like a little like toast with butter would be great. But yeah, try not to do like the bacon and sausage every single day. I mean, you could do it every other day, twice a week. But again, you want to still be mindful of getting the healthier fats throughout the day. Alright, so for meal number 2, we're going to be doing some really tasty Alfredo meatballs. And for the ingredients, as you can tell, I'm using a lot of vegetables on this one. I'm using about a cup of bell peppers, just different variety. I got about a cup of onion and tomato mix, and I'm gonna show you exactly where I'm gonna use that, which is we're gonna make the meatballs a little bit bigger. And then of course we got the 80-20 ground beef. Of course, we don't want to be getting the lean one. This one's pretty fatty. I've got some green chili that I'm going to be adding, as part of my vegetable. And then, of course, some spinach. I don't have any leafy greens. And as you know, we have to make sure that we have some leafy greens, at least, 3 to 4 cups, throughout the day on keto, if possible. And then, of course, we got our MVP right here, our Alfredo sauce, and I'm going to be showing you the label here in a second so you can see what you need to look for. And then I've got some, you can't see them, but they're up here. I've got some spices, the garlic salt, ground black pepper, and then Italian seasoning mix that we're going to be adding onto the Alfredo. Of course, the spinach. We're going to be using a little bit of Parmesan to add flavor. And yeah, that's about it for the vegetables, and for the ingredients, vegetables and ingredients. And this is a very easy meal to cook in bulk. So if you're somebody, of course, you need to have a couple extra meals, or just have something as a backup, this is a meal that you definitely want to cook a little extra of, so you can have that additional meal. So whatever your quantity is, just double it or triple it, and then you have extra food. And so before we start with the preparation, so yeah, what you need to look for in the Alfredo sauce is, because there's they can be tricky. There's some that are going to be a little bit higher in carbs and than others, so you definitely want to look out for the carb content on this one. So Alfredo is one of those things where you don't really have to worry too much about the fat, because you want to worry more about the carb content. So I'm going to be using about 2/3 of a cup of Alfredo for the serving, and so this one right here is only going to be about 6 or 7, probably 8 if I'm doing my math right, 8 grams of net carb for what I'm going to be using. And per serving, which is a 1/4 cup, is 3 grams of carb. And that's pretty low for an Alfredo sauce, as there's Alfredo sauces that are going to have like 12 grams or something like that. So Alfredo is kind of like marinara sauce too, where you need to be careful, and you need to do your due diligence and just double check, and not assume that just because it's creamy or it's like a roasted garlic or it's from this brand that it's going to be good. So you just want to look out for the least amount of carbs possible per serving. So this one, about a 1/4 cup has 3 grams, so a cup is going to be 12 grams. And if I'm going to be using 2/3 of a cup, which is 2/3 of 12 would be 8 grams. Booyah, yeah, perfect math right there. So yeah, it's going to be about 8 grams of carb total for what I'm going to be using. And yeah, so those are going to be and I can't believe it's not butter. We're going to be using a little bit of that as well. Alright, so first thing that you want to do is you want to fry up half of your vegetables. Alright, and now what we're going to do with that is we're going to add those vegetables here to a little container with the ground beef. And so I know I wrote down that the total of ground beef that we're going to be using is going to be 4 ounces, and that is true, but what I do have here is about 6 ounces, because red meat, especially ground beef, does tend to shrink a little bit. So we want to, when you're measuring meat, you want to measure it as a cooked product. So if you're ever wondering whether you should measure protein, cooked or raw, you want to go by the cooked reference. Now, most meats are going to shrink about 1 ounce from their raw, form. So with the ground beef, we do see about 2 ounces. So we do have 6 ounces, which is going to shrink to about 4 once we make it. And then from this point on, all that we're going to do is we're just going to mix the veggies with the ground beef. And I did forget to, in the ingredients, I did forget to put one more item, which is an egg. I didn't forget to put it in the macros though, so you will find the calories from the egg in there. But yeah, we do want to add 1 egg into the ground beef mixture, along with everything else. So once we put that in there, we're just gonna start mixing, and the egg is just gonna help hold everything together for when we form the meatballs. And yeah, we add a little bit of salt, a little bit of extra salt actually. Remember, salt is good on keto. Just make sure that you're staying hydrated. 1 gallon of water if possible, then some Italian seasoning right here. And I'm going to be using even more of these with the Alfredo mix. So black pepper, If you guys want to add something else in there, like, I don't know, like chili powder or you know, paprika, whatever, you're more than welcome to. More oregano if you like. Let me add some green chili in here. I'll put that here in a second. So we're gonna mix now. Alright, so mix that for about 30 seconds. Then I'm gonna just add more vegetables in here. I'm gonna add a lot of flavor to this. So we're gonna add some more vegetables, some green chili, and from this point on, if you prepare this ahead, what you can do is you can refrigerate this overnight or for a couple hours, just so that the vegetables and the seasonings can like really penetrate the flavor. So that's a good tip too. If you want to kind of like prepare this the night before and then just let it sit overnight, that would be a great idea. So once you have your mixture, we're gonna start preparing the meatballs. Alright, and then just from this point, you're just gonna start preparing the meatballs. You can make them any size that you want. If you want to make them smaller, so you have that like illusion of like you know, just like you're eating more, then you could do it. If you just want to make like, you know, this is probably gonna make about, you know, 6 or 8 meatballs, you know, thanks to the vegetables, honestly, because the vegetables really do add a lot of volume. So yeah, if you want to make 12 little ones, or you want to make 4 giant size ones, that is up to you. I'm going to be making about 6 to 8 medium sized ones. Alright, so in the meantime, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be getting our sauce, Alfredo mixture together. We're going to get it ready right now. And yeah, so I didn't mention for how long you need to, you know, put the meatballs in the oven for. I do apologize about that. So well, 400 degrees would be great for about 15 to 20 minutes, just kind of depending on how well done you want them. So yeah, so during those 20 minutes while the meatballs are getting ready, we're gonna go ahead and get the sauce ready. So yeah, we're gonna be using about half a tablespoon of the I can't believe it's not butter mixture. We're gonna throw that in there, and then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna start frying up the vegetables so that they can get a little crunchy. So we're gonna throw them in there, and then just gonna let them cook for a little bit. We're not gonna put the sauce until the very end, because the sauce it's already cooked. We just need to heat it up. Oh, that smells really good. So yeah, we're just gonna let the vegetables fry for a little bit. Then at the very end, we're just gonna add the spinach, and then we're going to add we're gonna add the sauce first, and then we're gonna add the spinach at the very end. Alright guys, so it's been about 2 minutes of the bell peppers frying up. This smells super good. And so once you have it to just kind of like a cooking temperature where you think it's appropriate for you to your personal preference, then yeah, that's where you can start adding the stuff. Like for me, like I said, I want to fry these up a little bit, so I think this should be plentiful. And yeah, with Alfredo sauce, I'm not going to do anything special. I'm just going to grab, straight up from the can, and just put it in there. And so yeah, we're going to measure it. So we got 1/3 cup in there, and then we got the second 1/3 cup right there. Okay, and then we're going to turn it down a little bit, otherwise it's going to start jumping all over me. So we're going to turn it down slightly, let this cook. Oh my god, it smells so good. And then just let that fry with the vegetables. And we're gonna start adding some seasonings in there. And I am gonna put some green chili in this thing. Why? Because I can, and that's usually how we do it here in New Mexico. So if there's anybody watching from New Mexico, please leave a comment. I'd really appreciate it. Represent. So we're gonna be throwing some of this in here. And then yeah, the green chili, this is part of like the whole greens that I'm gonna be doing for the day. So think about 2 tablespoons should be good, just to add a little bit of spice. Again, this is just personal preference. I could have just added more bell peppers, like green bell peppers, onto this thing, but hey, I'm gonna be using my vegetables creatively. So, and that should be the same thing with you. If you want to do other vegetables, like maybe more onions, maybe more tomatoes, maybe just all red bell peppers, you can. You definitely can do that. So get creative with the vegetables, don't just get stuck with one, because I think that's what really gives things flavor. Like if you hey, instead of using like yellow bell peppers, you're using like squash or something, I don't know, or maybe you're using lettuce or cabbage, I don't know, whatever you want to throw in here. But I think the bell peppers will do just fine, because it'll give it that like assimilated taste to like an actual Italian dish. And then now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add about, and I'm saying about because I'm just grabbing a big handful. This could probably be about 3 cups, but I'm gonna guess more like 2 cups of spinach into the dish. And as you guys know, spinach shrinks when you cook it. So from this point on, we have it in low heat, and we just let the Alfredo sauce, marinate with the vegetables and the seasonings. Alright, so 20 minutes later, once your meatballs are done, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna place them in here, and then just let them bathe with the Alfredo sauce for a couple of minutes. And then once we do that, we're gonna serve them, and they're ready to go. I mean, look at that, it looks so good. And yeah, I mean, this is, like I said, this is one of those meals that for convenience you can just double the amount of ingredients and then just have meal prep with it. So unfortunately, yeah, you can't do bread on keto, but if you guys go back to the biscuit from earlier, from meal 1 from the keto sandwich, then you can do like half of that with this, and just add a little bit of like extra Italian, extra garlic salt, maybe toast it so it has that flavor. And again, you don't want to be doing like, especially this meal, because it's like so cheesy. It has a lot of like Alfredo, which is a very processed. It has a lot of processed fats in there. You don't want to be doing it every day. Once you do your meal prep, you do it 2 or 3 times a week. You don't want to be doing it every day, or something with Alfredo every single day. Again, this video is like today's sample meal plan is just to kind of show you how we can get creative on keto, and at the same time, meeting the fats. But at the same time, you don't want to be abusing, some of the less important items like processed fats or processed proteins, that sort of thing. So yeah, we're just gonna let it sit for a couple of minutes, and then it's ready to be served. And look at that, we are finished. Look at that bowl. About 550, 600 calories. I think this was about 35 grams of fat. I'll put the macros for that here in a second. But yeah, there's our Alfredo marinara spicy bowl. We'll have to change the name because I did add a little bit of extra spice in there. So that is it for meal number 2. Alright, so for the last meal we're going to be doing kebab sticks, and the reason I chose to do kebab sticks for this particular meal is, one, they're very easy to make, they're very convenient. You just got to put some vegetables, some meat together, put them in the oven or in the grill, and this is one of those meals too that is really good for meal prepping. You can just do, for this one we're going to be using about two sticks, and I have the sticks right here. So we're going to be using about 2, but of course, if you want to plan ahead, you can always do like double and then save them. And again, they don't take very long to make. While you're baking them or while you're grilling them, you could be doing other stuff, of course. And more importantly, the last 2 meals that we've had today is, the focus of today was, just to be a little bit more creative, to use, just think outside the box with keto, add more taste. Even though we did do that, the last 2 meals that we had were, they're pretty heavy with like, like the lesser with like the lower priority keto items. So it was like a lot of like the almond flour we were using, a lot of like the Alfredo, we're using just cheese, those kinds of things. So I want to keep this one a little bit cleaner. Of course we're going to be using butter as our dipping sauce, and for our fat as well. But the shrimp and the steak, they're in the of course they're in like the top priority keto items. So along with the vegetables, of course. So yeah, again, kebab sticks are pretty easy to make. They're pretty straightforward. All you do is you just put them in the sticks. Make sure that you get sticks that are that are grill friendly or oven friendly. And then from this point on, you start making the sticks. And with the vegetables, you can do pretty much any vegetable that you want. I think the standard for kebab sticks is usually like peppers and onions, tomatoes, that sort of thing. So yeah, you can kind of play with those as much as you want. If you just want to do bell peppers, if you just want to do onions, you can. If you want to do like, I don't know, like zucchinis or like squash, whatever you want to do is fine. And as far as like how you prepare them, it doesn't really matter. As long as you can, as long as you put as much in there as you want. And my biggest tip on this one is make sure that you are using vegetables, because that's going to help you stay full. It's going to help you make the the meal a little bit more satisfying. And as far as the butter goes, that's something that we're going to be having at the very end with it's kind of like the dipping sauce. Now I am using about 8 ounces of protein, so I'm using about 4 ounces of shrimp and about 4 ounces of steak, fatty cut, of course, as you can see. And then the shrimp is pretty lean. My recommendation is, if you're going to be using 2 meats, try to use one that's fatty. In this case, we're using the steak, and then one that's a little bit leaner. In this case, it could be the shrimp, it could be chicken, it could be turkey, and then you want to keep a fatty one, like it could be like pork or steak. If you're going to be using just fatty cuts, then you want to limit it to 6 ounces. So that's why I'm able to get away with 8 ounces with this particular meal, because I'm doing half and half. Because I know the main point of keto is you want to make sure that you get your fats up, but you also don't want to be overdoing it with calories. I'm going to give you an idea for something sweet if you're having, that type of craving on keto, which, does tend to happen a lot. So I'm going to do it in such a way where, we still stay under the carb limit as well as getting some of the fats up. And I do want to say that this is completely optional. You don't have to add this. I'm only adding it because it does fit in with the macros, for the day. So again, completely optional. And this is going to be about 180 calories total, with all of the fat coming from the peanut butter. So and then we have some of the keto friendly items, such as the sugar free jam and the carb chopper keto friendly tortillas. And very simple, there's not a lot of science to it. This takes about at the most probably 2 minutes to prepare. So you're just going to be using one tortilla, and for the calorie and fat allowance that we have for the day, we're going to be using 1.5 tablespoons of peanut butter, which is what's going to give us about the 12 grams of fat. So yeah, very simple. We just add the peanut butter into the tortilla, and we just spread it like this. So that's about 1 tablespoon right there. We're going to add another 1/2 tablespoon into the tortilla, and of course we're going to use a different spoon for the jam. So once we do that, we're just gonna put it into the into the stove for a couple of minutes. This is again, and then the following step is completely optional. Like for me, I like my peanut butter a little bit warm, just so it's kind of melting. So if you just want to put the jelly in there and just have it as is, you totally can do that. Again, this is just for more added flavor. Alright, so we just let it sit here for about 1 minute each side, and I did add about half a tablespoon of the I can't believe it's not butter, so an additional 30 calories, just for a little bit more flavor. And yeah, as you can tell, you can see the peanut butter melting right there, a little bit of the jelly. So I think I'm just gonna leave it there for about another 10 seconds, and then it's good to go.